Oh, see, everybody's got their squeaky chairs. Small town talk, squeaky chair time. Oh, we are joined in the studio today with our favorite city council member, Mr. Blake Inscore. Say something, Blake. Let me see if I can. There you are. Let me turn you up.
Doing?
We're doing good, much better now. Thanks for the cookies.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did you make those yourself?
I put them on the plate. No, my wife gets credit for that.
So one, we've been teasing you and talking online about, or on the radio rather, about the fact that you are the one city council member not running for re-election this year.
That is correct. I do have the immunity necklace.
You do have the immunity,
and I am not handing it over to anybody.
So let's just go through, just even briefly, if you don't mind, what's it like? The thing you're not doing this year, then, is running for re-election. What is it like to run for election?
I don't really know because I didn't really run for election.
You didn't?
No, I mean, I was asked to consider doing this. I looked for any way to get out of it. Couldn't find any.
Did Joe Miles come and knock on your door?
I tried to call for whatever favors I have with the Lord upstairs, and he wouldn't bail me out of it. And so I said, okay, I'll do this. I filed. I said, I'm not going to go knock on people's doors. I don't do that in my profession as a minister. I've never felt comfortable with that. I know that there's people who do that, but that's not me. It's just not my style. And I thought it was just wrong to think that I'm going to go knock on people's doors and say, hey, vote for Blake Inscore if I'm not going to knock on your door to tell you about Jesus.
Oh, good point. It
just didn't seem right. And so I said, I'm not going to do that stuff.
I won't do this for the Lord, but I'm doing it for me.
Yeah, no way. That's just not who I am. And so I made the decision. I'll pay to whatever it takes to get on the ballot. If somebody invites me to some place to say, what do you think or what do you stand for, I'll go. Otherwise, whatever happens, happens. And I got elected. So go figure. I mean, I've had people. I just got an email this week from somebody that says, I'd like to get your input on how to run a winning campaign. I'm like, well, I don't know. Don't spend any money. Don't talk to anybody and just hope for the best. That's sort of what happened with me. I'm not sure that that's the best way to go about it. Yeah. But I think the people who know me know that I'm this kind of even-keeled guy who wants the best for this community. And I guess that's probably what people are looking for. I hope that's what I bring to the table. I think that's why we can sit and talk like this. I don't have a lot of pretense involved in what I do. About what I do, but I don't have pretense. And I think that that's refreshing for politicians, is that there's no hidden agenda. I'll tell you straight what I think. And if you disagree, well, then let's figure out what's best. And if I'm right, then you need to get on board. And if I'm wrong, then I'll admit it. It's not really that complex, but we make it a lot more complicated than it has to be.
What do you think he's really trying to say here?
I don't know. Is that a shade? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he's saying something, though.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about. Okay, so before your current situation, your current stint on the city council, you were planning commission.
I was on the planning commission for 4.5 years. Big difference between planning commission and city council is planning commission is a lot of black and white. Somebody comes in and you look up the rules and the regulations and the codes, and they can either build the fence or they can't. And if you say, well, you can't, then they say, well, is there an appeal process? Yeah, there's an appeal process, but it doesn't qualify for that. And if they still don't like it, they can always appeal to the council, and then the council can say, oh, well, we like you, and heck with the code, we're going to let you build the fence. Well, that's not black and white. That becomes this subjective thing where they can take staff recommendation or they can take the planning commission recommendation, and then they can make a decision, and then they set precedents that everybody's got to live with after that. That doesn't happen a lot, but that's a big difference between planning commission and city council. Planning commission, pretty black and white. This is the rules, regulations. Sorry, can't do that. Or yes, you can. Council, there's all kinds of shades of gray. I don't know if there's 50 or 51, but there's a lot of them. And everybody's got a idea of how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's been a challenge for me.
Do you have a specific instance or issue that has come before the council in which you've been more aware of that grayness, the open to interpretation?
One that we're dealing with right now with this whole sewer rate structure. And I learned kind of a valuable lesson about politics, because I'm still pretty naive about the whole political aspect of this, is one of the things that we were looking at in approving this ordinance. And I've been in favor of the consumption-based thing all along. Mm-hmm. I started talking to Eric Weir about this when they were doing the water rate structure, mm-hmm. that we need to look for a tiered process to make it more fair somehow for people who may not be impacting our system as much as others. And so we talked about this a couple years ago, in my mind, when I was still on the Planning Commission. So in this whole process, one of the things that we're doing with the ordinances is try to figure out what do you do with somebody, because they're going to use this winter averaging to set your rate. Well, what do you do with somebody new coming in here? You don't know what they're going to use. You just don't know. Mm-hmm. Do they have, is it a wife and a husband and 14 kids? Or is it a little old lady who's moving here to be close to her grandchildren? You don't know. And so when we started looking at how to do that, the rate consultant gave us this idea that you need to use a baseline and just charge everybody 500 cubic feet, which is 5 times 700, 3,500 gallons of water a month. And I'm thinking, well, that's too much. And so I asked the rate consultant, will it make a material difference if we lowered this so that if somebody moves in here, we don't just jab them until we can get a winter average on them? If we're going to do something, let's come in a little low, make ourselves more friendly, kind of throw out an olive branch and says, yes, our rates are kind of expensive in some of these things, but we're trying to look at this. Well, that didn't fly. Mm-hmm. Why? It didn't fly with the council. Well, they were worried about the husband and wife with the 14 kids. So that might cost us something. Even though the rate consultant didn't think it would be a material issue, let's leave it high. Well, I'm thinking, let's leave it low. Mm-hmm. Let's go low. Let's be the kinder, friendlier Crescent City. and so
a portion of your sewer rates for the first year, it's on us.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to go that far, but that's sort of the concept. That's not kinder and friendlier. That's just ridiculous. But what I realized is this is a gray area. Is there a right answer? No, because you don't know what this is going to be for these people. But my thought was, let's go low. Mm-hmm. Let's look for a way to provide some encouragement that says, hey, we're looking after our constituents. We're looking after new people. We want moving here to be something that's positive from the get-go. Well, it didn't fly. The council didn't want to change that. Mm-hmm. One of the things I learned politically was that when you come against that, because that portion of it, I was upset because I wanted my way. Typical politician, I want my way. So I voted against actually a portion of this ordinance that I've been talking for years about, saying we need to go to this route. Well, I just shouldn't have voted against it. What I should have done is introduce a substitute motion that says, hey, I want to lower this and let it go that way. But all this stuff is new to me of trying to figure it out. But that was a gray area. But it was in the midst of something that I really think is important, this whole sewer rate thing. But there's so many different nuances within that affect our community that are not easily delineated out for everybody to see. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't see everything. I can't see everything. But we need to do what's best for our community as a whole and for that future person who's moving here. Yeah. And it's not just the city. I mean, over half of our sewer users, water users, live in the county. Mm-hmm. So I represent them too, even though they
don't get to vote for
you. They don't get to vote for me.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that we have a lot of interesting dynamics between the city and the county. Yeah. I really do. But I also believe that we are creating an atmosphere right now of partnership that is really positive. That's if I have an agenda, that's my agenda. Is building a positive working relationship between the city and the county. We've had several 2x2 meetings with the city and the county and staff of working on joint things. And I've just said, hey, I want this to be community. I don't want it to be community when I want something and city when I don't. Mm-hmm. And same with the county. I really want us to start seeing our community. And I think that there's a sense of cooperation that's happening right now that I'm excited about, unless they're all just Buffalo and me.
Everybody's lying to Blake.
Yeah, I don't think so, because these are good people, So,
but
I think
it doesn't matter, come election time, you're immune.
It is true. I can push this, and I can spend all this time working with these people, and then the only people left are Chris Howard and Jerry Hemmingson. Right?
There you go.
Because there are 3 immunity idols out, or immunity eckless, and there's 2 immunity idols, and I'm not sure that Chris and Jerry are up to looking for them, but I did I gave them to them. Let's just say, okay, because they're immune right now as well, and I think that the 3 of us that we know we're still going to be elected come November, all share this common belief that this community deserves to be served by a common thread, and that is what's the best for the group. That's not easy to do. That kind of consensus takes a lot of work, I think. But,
well, yeah, that's true. And you've also got the voters being part of that too, and you can achieve consensus sort of by attrition. And we're going to ask you about that down the road. What sort of issues then do you need the city and county to work on together?
We share a lot of common goals. Again, this whole wastewater treatment plant, we share that. We have more lift stations that's pumping stuff to that treatment plant that are in the county that are in the city. I mean, not everything is downhill in this county. It may seem that way on days. But not everything is downhill. We got to get it there. And so we have these shared agreements to work with these things, and we have to appreciate that. But there's all kinds of issues. I mean, whatever we do in the county and whatever we do in the city, it affects one another. I mean, you can't avoid that. So if you're talking Beachfront Park, is that just a city park? No, of course it's not.
Yeah.
Look at 4th of July. I mean, these people come to this community. It's obviously the biggest day of the year here. Is that a valuable asset? Yeah. Do we need to look at how we're going to use that asset to maximize what it can bring to our community as a whole? Yeah. Can the city, just with its resources, do that right now? No.
Okay.
There's no way.
This leads me to my larger question then. Do we need a city government in Crescent City?
We have a city government in Crescent City.
Yes, but do we need a city?
I've heard rumors that there was a movement years ago to try to consolidate, which is pretty unprecedented. They did it in San Francisco County, San Francisco City.
And county of San
It's
Francisco.
all one thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
let me rephrase it since you're our guest today. Do we need a county government?
Well, we have a county government. When you look at it and you say, feasible to say we could have a single governmental structure that provides the umbrella to then provide the services this community needs.
Yeah.
In concept and in theory, yeah. Why not? And you can say, well, it's hard to do. Well, does that mean that it's not worth doing just because it's hard?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the money, energy, the resources into the 2x2s and getting everybody on the same page and all of this, and the fact that practically speaking, Crescent City as a metropolis, not a metropolis, but as not even an urban area, but Crescent City as a functioning city is bigger than Crescent City as a legal city, right? The one point. So it almost seems at this point, and I'm not trying to get you into a corner and say, yeah, we should abolish the city government, but the 1.4 square miles at our Crescent City symbolically mean more than it does practically.
Oh, I think so. I mean, when you look at our comparative budgets, I mean, you're talking about 12 million or so, I think, with the city budget. I mean, we got 3 million general fund, 6, 9, 12, whatever, 12, $15 million versus the county budget's 120 million.
Yeah. So
I mean, you just look at those two numbers and go, oh, well, there's a big difference here. We're 10% financially vested in this community. The problem's going to be in any making in that transition, you're going to have two things that are going to really hit, and that is who's going to lose their job, because that's what people are going to immediately think. Who's going to lose their job? I don't know that that's a necessity, but you can't have two people who are in charge.
No, exactly.
So somebody's going to lose some power, and the second is going to be who's going to lose their office.
Yeah.
Because you're not, if you consolidate the two, you don't have council members and you don't have supervisors. You're going to have one governmental structure from an oversight, and then a governmental structure from an operations standpoint. And I think that most of the people that are working city county would probably continue to do what they're doing, restructuring. I just don't know that we're forward enough thinking to be able to do the hard work to get that done. I don't know why it didn't work when there was a movement years ago to try to do it. I don't know what the blockage was.
And even, exactly. And even what are the benefits then that would be, that you could garner from how much money would you save? How much time would you save if you did all of this?
I mean, we get a consultant for everything else.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it would just seem to me that as we move forward and we realize that we're always going to have limited resources up here on the North Coast.
Yeah.
We're never going to be the first place that money goes.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then doesn't it make sense that we need to look at this big picture? We have a group here, and I don't really know a lot about it. I'm learning about this group called the Economic Advisor Group. Mm-hmm. And I've just met some of them in just some cursory conversations. Maybe they can provide us some input into the big picture of Crescent City. Because you're right. When people talk Crescent City, they're not talking about the 1.4 square miles here downtown. Yeah. They're not. They're talking about this community. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when the two fire associations merged, the volunteer associations, they referred to themselves now as the Crescent City Fire and Rescue, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And part of the rationale, as I understand it, was realizing that when people think about our community, they think Crescent City. They don't think Del Norte County. Not that there's anything wrong with Del Norte County, but that's not our image. That's not what we should even be looking at, because that's not what people think. I don't know. I mean, those are big questions that are certainly ones that people a lot smarter than me have contemplated. Obviously, they've gone nowhere, so maybe they weren't as smart as they thought.
What about the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I feel like this is the perfect time, this election. We have Chris Howard, Hemmingson, you, right?
Yep.
4 people are out for vote. There's no city manager.
That's right. We don't. We have an interim city manager.
Do you see where I'm going?
Oh, yeah, this is the time.
This is the time. You just upgrade yourself to supervisor.
I'll give Jay Serena a call and tell him to start opening up some office space.
There you go.
We're moving in.
$120,000 a year I'm saving to the city.
I don't think we'd have any complaints from people who work at City Hall to move out of that building. So
there you go.
That is one of the most remarkably ugly buildings. I'm functioning. I can't imagine it's very warm or watertight looking at it. But
it's not the best building.
It's the Fred Travalina of buildings. There's something very 80s about it. And
it's a tough competition
very
here,
80s.
too.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a tough competition to be the ugliest building.
Yeah, that's true. We
have the Cultural Center.
The Culturals, yeah. But see, a
building that's positioned right there on the harbor with no upstairs windows looking at the harbor.
Yeah.
Now that's forward thinking in the 70s, right there.
Skylights. That skylight, north facing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the sun is not.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we were. You can almost guarantee public funds were spent on that.
There's something about the Cultural Center that's like that ugly dog that's so ugly it's cute to me.
Yeah.
It means that. I can't imagine anything else going there. So,
I remember going the first time to the tourism board meeting.
Yeah.
The first time ever inside. And I'm going into this building, and I always wondered what you can see from this wonderful building. We go up, and it's
Nothing.
Front Street.
Yeah, you can see Front Street. And that's something to look at.
That is beautiful, yeah. I especially like it when they paint it black for the 4th of July to make it look like a new road. Yeah. That's why. Now, you've alluded to like staffing issues and things like this. Is something that for me was, I guess if I thought about it beforehand, I could come to the same conclusion. But actually going to the meetings, as Lee and I've been doing for the past year or so, the City Council and the Board of Supervisors, I've really become stricken with, honestly, this is going to sound really cheesy, but the competency of the staff in both instances.
Yep.
The people who actually run this town and this county, Jay Serena, Eric Weir, Gene, these people who keep it together and keep it going. And you guys catch all the heat for everything.
Yeah.
You're the ones that get kicked out of office. You're the ones that get the angry letters and the things like that. These are the folks that are really just, feet on the ground who are making this happen every day, and
We have great people.
seriously.
We have great people.
I've been like really, Eric, I've got nothing but respect for Eric Weir. Every time he gets up and starts saying anything, I mean, he's just on top of everything from financial to engineering to, it's why isn't he city manager? Did he not apply?
I don't know if he's applied yet.
Oh, but for the interim thing, the city manager.
Yeah. No, he didn't apply for the interim position.
Because when we went to the meeting and he got up and he had the heads of the department stand up and talk about last year.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
That was very cool. Yeah. I could tell you like that.
I did. Well, I didn't think that they had to stand the entire time.
Yeah, I know.
But I wasn't sure that there was going to be an expectation that each of them have a moment to speak. I value Kimmy Scott. She's been a great asset to the city, and she's an example of the blending of new people as well as older people from our community and how we have a really interesting dynamic right now. We have some people who are generational people here who are absolutely fantastic. We've had some people move into this area that have embraced our community. Kimmy Scott's one of those. When she told me that basically she was going to summarize everybody's, thoughts, I said...
At the meeting with the department heads,
she told me ahead of time. I said, well, I don't like that. She goes, what do you mean you don't like that? I thought it would streamline things. I said, yeah, I want to hear from them.
That was your idea? That was your doing?
Yeah.
Very nice.
and she didn't tell them, so, they were not necessarily expecting to speak. But what you just said, that was evidence of that.
Yeah.
When every one of them stood up there on that podium and spoke for a couple minutes, it was evident that these are qualified, highly qualified people who care about what they do, who are more than just competent.
No one's phoning it in. Who's the financial? What was the woman? The financial?
Emily Boyd.
Bloyd?
But you want bad news now?
Why? What? She going?
She's leaving.
Oh, serious? No. She was the one person. I want her to run my finances because she was just boom,
no
boom,
doubt,
boom.
Emily Boyd is one of the most valuable assets this city has had since she's been here.
Yeah.
But she's leaving us.
Oh, wow.
She's taken another position in a larger city.
Gold? Is it gold?
Galt? Did you say it's not Galt?
It's gold.
It's taking everything away.
It's going over the airwaves. Oh my gosh! and I predicted this. I didn't publicly predict it, but it's like she's just so darn valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to be a tough one to replace. I like Emily a lot. I like Emily personally because of her demeanor, but professionally, gosh, she was absolutely the best thing for us right now. She's going to be a tough person to follow, but the work that she's done for the city has laid a foundation for our future. And that's huge. The person who follows her is really going to be a leg up compared to what she came into, not to speak ill about the people before her, but she came into a situation where there was lots of things that needed to be addressed and lots of things that we were working on. And she's done a fantastic job of establishing a foundation for whoever that next director is going to be. And I wish her the very best, but boy, we're going to miss her.
That's what I got the most out of her presentation was it wasn't about the fires that had been put out. It was about, well, it was, could be, we had to deal with this and this and this. It's also about then looking ahead.
Building.
And then, wow, yes?
Just another reason to unite the county and the city. There you go.
He's going to just work this here. I'll probably be hearing about this before Monday. Tuesday. Our meeting's Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yeah, we are meeting Tuesday. City Council's Tuesday.
Because of the 4 day. The 4 day.
We got to honor dead presidents on Monday
at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take a break here in a second here and play a couple of songs, and I want to eat some more cookies because I'm really, really hungry. But first off, what's your take on the triplicate editorial about the openness as far as the interviewing process for the interim city manager?
Two things. I didn't think that the triplicate needed to ding us quite as hard as they did over the process. I mean, I think that they actually made one reference to us as being paternalistic, good old boys.
Yeah.
I think that was a little extreme. Number one, we have a lady on the council, so she's obviously not a good old boy. Whatever.
Don't throw up straight lines like that.
Sorry. But the flip side of that is I do understand the challenge that they had of wanting to know what was going on and feeling like they should report what we're doing. The complications, because I ask all through this, is like, why are we not willing to do this? And what do we need to learn when we start talking about, and as far as releasing names? And
not willing. Oh, so okay. So not willing.
Give me the rationale. And part of the rationale is, well, what if we have people who are currently employed in another job and they don't want their name publicly released to the newspaper that's saying, hey, we're applying to be the interim city manager in Crescent City. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, okay, but they do realize that eventually if you get interviewed or whatever, you can't hide forever with this. Maybe that's something we need to tell people, that we have this open door policy that says if you apply for a job here, we're gonna run your references, and we're going to let this be out there.
That's a difficult balancing act.
It is a difficult balancing act because it gets into these personnel issues and what you can and cannot do legally, ethically, whatever. And I think that we're going to have to really think about that when we start looking at the process of hiring our city manager. Because there's going to be people who are going to want to know, and the triplicate's going to want to know what's going on. How many applicants do you have? How many local people do you have that are applying? How many people do you have that are West Coast? How many people? Because the statement that our interim city manager has made is we're going to make this a nationwide search. Well, that's good, I guess. I'm not sure that anybody from New Hampshire is going to have any idea what to do in Crescent City, California.
Anybody outside of California?
I'm not sure that anybody outside of
Mendocino.
true Northern California is going to have any
Yeah.
idea about what it's like here. So I think it's good to say things like that and to do things like that. We need to, because there may be that person that's someplace on the East Coast that's from here.
Yeah.
That says, hey, I'd like to have an opportunity to go back home and invest in a place that I grew up in or something. And so on that level, I like that idea. But we are going to have to look at people who understand our community. We just have to be able to do that. And I think we need to make sure that we have a better process and tell a triplicate up front, this is how we're going to handle this. And we're going to give you this information, and we want to partner with you to let you know what we're doing for the benefit of the community. But we're not giving out resumes and this and that until we get to our final three.
Exactly.
And then we're going to give you their information so that you can. But the other thing that we're going to, I say we, other thing I want to do when we get ready to interview the city manager, I want to have a citizens panel that's part of this.
Yeah.
I want the community to feel like it has a buy-in. I know that the council's got to make this decision. That's about the only big thing that we make is budget things and
hiring
the city manager. But I think we need a citizens panel, and it needs to be representative of our community. A business person, just a regular person who lives here. We need some people who care about this community and run these top whatever candidates by them and listen to what they have to say. Because they may see something completely different than us electeds do. We may not go with that recommendation, but isn't that going to be good for our community?
For everybody involved, yeah. For everybody from the council to the community to the paper. I mean, just to have that sort of... So you basically agree with the triplicate then, right? Should there have been more openness? I mean, you taking umbrage with the...
I think we could have been more open without violating anybody's trust that was applying.
Yeah.
I think that if we'd had a process ahead of time and thought out, if we'd anticipated that the triplicate was going to get upset about this.
I was going to ask questions, yeah.
Well, I don't know why a newspaper would want to ask questions. But they did. They did ask questions.
Surprise! All right. Well, I don't know how long you have with us. I was going to play a song.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give us a break, and we'll come back in. And
Absolutely.
I want to look to the future with you.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've been joined here in Small Town Talk this morning with the Right Honorable Blake Inscore of the Crescent City City Council, and we're going to find out. One question we have is, what's your dream council for the future?
Oh.
You have 3 minutes to think about that. Go.
The dream.
KFUG 101.1 FM. Cheap Trick, Dream Police, because I found it in the music library this morning. You're listening to Small Town Talk. It is 11:42. Just Paul on this side with Lee Halpern, and our guest this morning, Council Member Blake Inscore from the city of Crescent City. How are things in Crescent City this morning?
Well, they're wet now.
Yeah, I
mean,
know.
we had summer in February for about 4 days.
That happens.
And now I don't know if this is El Nino or not.
I don't know what it's called, but it just turned miserable outside there. We'll have weather later on.
But I think we'll have Chinese tomorrow.
What do you feel like for dinner?
Yeah, I know.
El Nino.
Yeah.
Let's have some El Nino.
Yeah, that's right. Because I don't know what it means.
So we were just talking during that song about the wastewater treatment facility. Did you go on the tour?
Now, I've been on a tour. I didn't go on the tour where 2 people showed up.
You weren't one of the 2 people.
I wasn't one of the 2 people, but our mayor was.
That's good.
Yeah, Mayor Gastineau.
That's an incredible place.
It is an incredible place.
Photographed it once for him and for Stover Engineering.
Yeah.
And just was like from 3 stories underground all the
Yeah.
way up to the top. And
It's
just
fascinating.
it is really fascinating. And I can't. If you're not the
Pull
kind
up the lid to the old RBC and look at those little bacteria just chewing up on our sewage. Well, that's amazing.
It really is.
It is amazing.
I feel like such a boy.
Yeah. Seeing that 2x4 sliding across that sludge. It's like, oh my gosh, looking at the life ring hanging there. It's like, oh yes, this is my kind of place.
It's like a spaceship that
It is.
deals with waste and is buried in the ground. It's really interesting. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. We'll get into that conversation later on. I personally don't feel as well versed in the whole history of financing and of the wastewater treatment plant to even ask questions. So
Yeah.
We'll have Donna come in and
There you
Donna
go.
Westfall come
Oh,
in
thank
and clear it
you.
up for
That will be helpful. This is public radio.
So you basically got a year off. You don't have to worry about what
I
people
do.
think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So,
Probably be mayor next year.
see, now I've got to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Because there's something there. It seems like really, and I mean this with all due respect and love, like maybe you wanted a little too much.
Yeah, maybe. I kind of wanted to be mayor this year.
I know you said
I
so.
did everything but nominate myself. I mean, I made a case.
I
know?
thought your reasoning was the best.
Was it?
Yeah, because
What?
Catherine Murray was, heck, I want to be mayor. That
Yeah.
was her reasoning.
Well, she wants to be a supervisor too.
Yeah, but that was her reasoning. I want to be mayor.
Yeah.
Bam, that's it.
And you know, I'm not against anybody having aspirations, and you know, she's got a campaign to run, and I think that's going to be time consuming, which is why I thought that's probably not the ideal person to be the mayor. And
She's already been mayor.
yeah, she's been mayor already.
Everyone should try.
Yeah,
Once you get a chance, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody in the 1.4
No,
square mile.
I forgot how did
everybody should be mayor.
that's what
That's going to be my first proclamation when I become mayor. I'm
Everybody.
going to institute the Mayor for a Day program. You get to come down to City Hall and answer people's questions in the water office because those girls should get hazardous duty pay.
that I
You
would
realize
not,
that?
I would not interact with the public there. I mean, wow,
And you know, those ladies who work in that office, they become the face of Crescent City. Oftentimes the city, and people come in there and sometimes they just have honest questions. Sometimes they in there and they're just happy to pay their bill. And a lot of times they're frustrated. They're frustrated with the city as a whole. They're frustrated with public works. They're frustrated with the wastewater treatment plant. They're frustrated with life. And they have a face right there who's saying, yes, you need to pay me money.
yeah.
And I believe those ladies do a fantastic
They
job.
do.
I really do. I appreciate their demeanor. And it's not easy. How often does somebody come into the water department happy to be there?
That's a good point. And Deborah is just wonderful there. And I don't know the younger woman's name,
Yeah.
but I've known Deborah for years. And
They deserve hazardous duty pay sometimes. And I guess I would just say to our public, they're just doing their job.
They are
and they're
just,
doing a darn good job at that. If you're mad at somebody, call your councilman. Really?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
That's
because
true.
we're making those decisions that are affecting you. And so if you're disgruntled at the city, let us know. We should take that heat.
That's why you're there. It's your job.
It is our job.
Yeah.
It is our job. It's not our staff does need to communicate with the public on specific issues, obviously. But you know what? The council needs to be willing to be that face as well. And I think we tried to do that. I try to do that. So I think our council wants to do that.
What are your thoughts on the petition drive for the rates?
My biggest concern is that the initial contact that I've heard, they came to my door. I sent my wife. I sent my wife to the door because I didn't want to get into it. But the initial contact is, do you want to sign a petition to protest the 20% sewer rate increase? There is a 20% increase over the next 4 years. It's 5% a year for the next 4 years within the system as a whole. But not everybody's going to get a 20% increase over that 4-year span. Not everybody's going to get a 5% increase this next year if we approve this. Matter of fact, over half of our ratepayers are actually going to see a smaller bill next year than this year.
Has the city made an effort to let that fact be known? Because that's the first time I've heard that.
We've really tried. We've got an ad campaign going on the radio.
That's why I haven't heard it.
Between the Brookings commercial.
Not everybody embraces public radio like I do.
Yeah, well, that's true. And thank you for that.
But to try to communicate that, we've been running a thing on our Facebook page. But the rate analysis came out that we have about half of our ratepayers use less than 300 cubic feet of water every month. And about 350 is the break-even point. If you use about 350, your rate's going to be about the same. If you're below that, using a water, then your sewer rate's going to go down.
Okay.
I had them run my rate. It's just my wife and I. But we had all of our kids home for Christmas, so we used like 559 cubic feet of water. I'm going to their house next year because they do this winter averaging, and I'm not having my kids coming home and using my water, and then my sewer bill go up. No way. I shower at the gym now.
Yeah.
So because I'm going to be conservative. But I ran mine, or I had the water department ran mine, and with winter averaging, November, December, January, and February. They didn't have February, so they used last year's. My bill was going to go down 54 cents.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
54 cents. You do that 10 more times, I can go to Dutch Bros.
So do you think the 10 more times? So do you think that the
But
people
go on Wednesday for the 9 stamp.
I love 9 stamp day.
If you
I've got like 3 9-stamp cards. I don't know. I'm sort of OCD, so if I show up on 9-stamp day and I have a 9-stamp card, it's like,
I gotta
but
get
if
another
I
9
hand
stamps.
you this and you put 1 on there, then there's only going to be 8 on the other one. And I don't know if I can handle that.
It's like going
So
to
just
Dutch,
give me another 9-stamp.
It's like going to Dutch Bros with the Rain Man. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, it is a little bit of that. It is a little. I'm a little nuts sometimes.
So, do you think the folks gathering who want to gather the signatures for the petition to protest, they're just either they're not understanding the full situation, or they're failing to pass on the full situation?
I think it could be both. I mean, it is a 20% increase when you look at the system as a whole.
Sure,
It
over
is,
time.
because there are people who are using a significant amount of water that their rate's going to go up. And a lot of people don't understand. I was like, well, why are you measuring water to determine sewer?
Because you don't have
Because I don't have a flow meter that,
a toilet meter,
you don't have a toilet meter.
a flushometer.
A flushometer. I like that. That's better than some of the other terms that I've heard that I won't use.
There's a term that will be once we shut off the mic.
Yeah. So the idea is if you use a lot of water, you're probably putting a lot of that into the system.
Yeah.
And that's why the winter averaging, so people who are watering their lawns and they got flowers and they got gardens, they're not using that time when you use a lot of that, because that water is not going into the wastewater treatment plant. It's going into the ground, which is great. But you have to find something that you can use that would be more equitable. And again, I started talking to Eric Weir about this when they had the whole process of the water rates. Why isn't there a better tiered structure for people who use less water? I know we can't just do this because people are low income. I mean, there's state laws against being able. You can't just give somebody a break because they're poor. Mm-hmm. That's sort of counterintuitive in my mind, but there's regulations for all this stuff. But we can reward somebody, in essence, for being more conservative if they're using less. And he told me, this is a couple of years ago now, he says, well, when we talk about the sewer thing, because we'll have to do that, that's a conversation that we probably will have. Well, we weren't having that conversation initially. We were looking at, you got to just do a tiered across-the-board rate increase. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's have this conversation again. And that's, not that I'm the driving force, but we've all talked about this. There's going to be, if half of our people are going to save a little bit of money, isn't that a good thing? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, it may not be if you're a high water user. But you see, all of our businesses, they've been on a consumption base all along.
Yeah.
Our restaurants, school, all these places that are high volume water users, they've all been based that way all along. So we're not changing that. We're just doing this for residences. And they even built in a percentage. So what if people start getting really conservative? People like myself who say, well, goodness gracious, I pay for this gym membership. I'll just take my stuff and take my shower at the gym. Mm-hmm. I'm saving a little bit of my water, and my gym membership goes up, then I'll probably go back to showering at home.
It's 9 showers Wednesday.
Man, you guys know everything. You know everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I'm showering Thursday now. I'll throw you guys off.
Okay, so let's. I don't know how long you have with us. It is 7 minutes till noon, and I know you've got a luncheon to get to.
Yeah, well, I need to make an appearance at the chamber seminar luncheon.
Okay, when's that start? Noon.
Yeah,
okay.
But they'll eat for a little while, and Cindy Henderson's going to be there.
So
you should have Cindy Henderson on the radio.
I know. That would be such.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Man, she knows more about disaster than anybody.
I do. The station insurance person and my insurance person is Mary Dorman, and we always get into those conversations sitting there talking about.
Mary does our insurance.
Yeah, Mary does. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. She's one of our oldest underwriters.
One of those 6 degrees of separation things.
She's been an underwriter for as long as we've had underwriters. I think she's been an underwriter. So yeah, we love Mary Dorman.
Good.
Don't get any breaks on the insurance though.
You don't?
Okay, so let's talk future.
Future.
I
like the future.
In the future, when we've got Mayor Blake Inscore.
There you go.
So I know that we don't know who's running against other folks. When are all the filing deadlines and things happening? I know you're not running, so maybe you don't need to know that. But
well, we don't have for the city council. We only have one that has to run in June. That's Darren Short. We have the Rich and Nia seat.
Yeah,
and so that will be along with the primary for the Board of Supervisors. Mm-hmm. So Darren is going to run, mm-hmm. He's indicated. I don't know who else is going to run in June. I think it's March 15th or something like that.
To get the
to file.
In June or November?
That's for the June election.
Okay.
And then I think it's August something for the November election. So I mean, we're a long ways out of who those people are going to be. I mean, we saw, what did we see, 9 candidates when we were looking at making the temporary appointment when we appointed Darren Short. I think we had 7 or 9 different people.
Yeah.
So how many of those people will run? I don't know for certain. But there was an interesting conglomeration of folks that were interested.
I gotta tell you, I was really disappointed that the city council didn't take a chance on Alex Fallman.
Alex Fallman.
Yeah. The guy just seems, I don't know. He knew everybody in the room. He had the facts. He addressed everything that needed to be addressed. Everybody else, it kind of seemed, for the most part, the other candidates were so, hey, here I am. And he came in and I don't know. I thought what Rich Ania said about him was really mean spirited about him. Some candidates who just move into the city to get on the. I thought that was a parting shot. That was a classless move for Rich to make.
Which is not Rich.
Really, I don't know. I've taken Rich's picture in the past, but that's it. That's all. That's all the interaction I have.
I think that was more of a kind of a protective instinct more than it was a personal attack of Rich looking at this as he's leaving, saying that, I love this city too. I mean, his in-laws, best parents still live here. His father was mayor back in the day, I guess. I think it was a protective thing that says there's a lot going on right now. Maybe we don't need a kid. That would be my take on Rich's take on that. That I'm trying to protect the city. That maybe we need somebody a little bit older, a little bit more seasoned right now. I don't think it was a personal thing towards Alex. It may have been. I don't need to. I guess I don't need to defend Rich. I like Rich a lot, but I didn't see it as. I don't think it was meant to be mean spirited. But I think it could have come off that way. I talked to Alex.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Alex is a good kid.
Yeah.
If I had my way, I'd get him involved in something. I look at it from my own standpoint of the years that I spent on the Planning Commission. I think that seasoned me to be able to not come in and just be lost when I hit the city council. Not that I'm saying that he has to serve on the Planning Commission, but that's obviously a value that I espoused when I was talking about the people that applied. But Alex is he's a sharp young man.
Yeah.
And
really
I think that he's gonna find a place someplace to serve and make his mark in this community. Not that this is a real fair comparison because we're talking light years apart, but in some ways it's sort of like the story of Senator Mike McGuire, who started out down in Healdsburg, being on the school board.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As a teenager.
Yeah, he was
now
like 19
here he is.
or something, yeah.
Now he is our state senator for our North Coast.
As a teenager.
And he's well, he's not a teenager anymore, but I have children older than him. But he's sharp.
Yeah.
And Alex, I think, has an ambition to be that kind of person. And I think we do have a responsibility to try to foster that. Obviously, he wasn't my selection. I went with what I knew. And I don't apologize for that.
No. Whoa, sorry. Wow, I don't know what that was.
That was exciting.
That
the
was
building
a
is still
kaboom.
standing.
It is still
Don't
there.
worry about us.
I'm not sure.
The cookies did not fall off the
The
table.
cookies are safe. That's all I care
They're
about.
warm. It's okay.
They're here. They're by
over
me.
here now. Closer to
Now there is you have at least in my estimation, and it makes perfect sense. There is sort of a conservatism about you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't mean big C conservatism.
No.
I mean just conservative, and it, as being for whatever your background is, being a man of God. What is your church, by the way?
First Baptist Church.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot what
Yeah.
it was because it was so long ago when you were on the Sunday
Yeah.
show.
I'm Jewish. I don't understand.
That's okay.
You were the First Baptist, so it's
There you
all
go.
right.
Bam.
The first,
Jesus was a Jew.
There you go.
Just saying.
And Zuckerberg. So
Yeah.
yeah, all the big ones. All the big ones.
Thank goodness for Mark Zuckerberg.
So I mean that kind of, and I don't mean that as any sort of slight. Or if I talk about somebody being a conservative with the big C, I kind of mean it
Sure,
as a slant.
yeah.
But no, as a constitutional sort of, and that's again a poor word to say, but I mean as something that is your makeup as a conservative. And so with that in mind, and I've seen that, and there are a couple of things I want to ask you. First off, the marijuana ordinance.
Yeah.
So what's up with that? No, okay. So why
Now that the deadline is gone.
now that it's
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
then why was the first step toward dealing with this deadline? And Rob DeRigo, who's come a couple of times and spoken to the council, talks about this was been known for months and months and months, and both the city and the county.
19 years.
Well,
It took
yeah.
19 years to even put a medical marijuana law on the books.
Yeah, but
Government really moves fast.
we have
It's because they're high.
all of this.
It could have been. Could have been.
All of this, this time and effort going into it. Why was the first regulatory stop prohibition? Why wasn't it actually some sort of managing of cannabis as opposed to just no?
I'll give you my take.
Okay.
I think that's the easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean that as a derogatory statement towards
No.
our staff. I think that's the easiest thing to do, given that we needed to do something. And we did need to do something. Even without the ban, even without the deadline saying if you don't have something, then the state's going to come in. But the ban becomes the easiest thing to put on the books right now. And I think that from my standpoint, doing the easy thing and putting something on the books makes sense for right now, given the fact that I genuinely believe that we're going to see multiple recreational marijuana ballot measures in November. And I genuinely believe that we're going to see at least one of those pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that we're going to have to now say, what do we do with a legal substance in the state of California? What do we do in Crescent City now that this is something that's legal?
Mm-hmm.
Same question that they've been asking in Oregon, trying to figure it out. And they're still trying to figure out how to write their ordinances, how to do all these things, because, they're trying to speak to their constituents too, I guess.
It is entirely uncharted. Yeah, uncharted
it is.
territory. So I guess what I want to understand is it's the ease with which the prohibition ban, or the ban was the ease that you talk about is this is the easiest thing to do. If you come up with not a ban, if you come up with some sort of management scheme in which, you have to outline, then you have secondary things you have to worry about. Okay, what's a nuisance then if we're talking about it? Where can they be in relation to schools? Where
everything else.
You have to define kind of a pyramid.
Same way that we do with alcohol. We have to do that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that repeatedly when I was on the Planning Commission. I mean, the ABC has already identified our community as being oversaturated with alcohol providers.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way you can get a liquor license and open up is you have to get a conditional use permit, and it requires that it shows that it is a public necessity. I'm not sure at what point in time,
really?
Papa's six pack is a public necessity, but that's the word that they use. So there's a process for doing that, and we've had to do that. And it might surprise you. It might surprise the 20 people and 50 cats who are listening. that I will actively push for us to establish a more comprehensive ordinance that addresses that very issue if and when marijuana becomes legal in California. I think we have that responsibility. And here's my take on this. And I probably have fellow council members who are going to say, I don't agree with you. I probably have city staff that are going to go, I don't like that. I may have members of my congregation who say, Pastor, I don't like your take. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine. Everybody has a right to an opinion. When you drive through Crescent City, and you're driving south on 101, before you get to where the new Motel 6 is going to be.
The sparkling Motel 6.
That's right. You're going to pass a couple of businesses in a couple of two-story buildings that your average person driving through, if they're my age or so, are going to refer to them as, those are smoke shops. Right?
Yeah, head shops. Yeah,
Head
right?
shops.
Head shops, yeah.
And we know what they sell there.
Yeah.
And so my question is if marijuana becomes legal and we really look at an ordinance that manages that, and we already have a couple businesses in town that the average perception is going to be that they sell wrapping papers and whatever, would that change anything?
You're so not a stoner.
No.
Wrapping papers?
Whatever.
And the bows. There's the bows too.
I'm not the big C guy. I don't even know the right words to throw this stuff out. But would people's perception be drastically different driving through Crescent City? Because that's one of the concerns I think people have. If either one of those happened to be a legal, licensed, regulated marijuana dispensary. Mm-hmm. If people's perceptions is already that that's a smoke shop, a head shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much?
And down the road, we have established rules and regulations to manage a dispensary in the city limits. I'm not saying we're going to, because I may be the minority here. But would people's perceptions be drastically different of those two businesses that operate here? Goodness gracious, the businesses operates in a building that the owner of the building was just awarded an award at the Chamber of Commerce dinner for beautifying Crescent City.
All right,
beautifying Crescent City, and what a great thing that you've done remodeling this building for a business, one of the businesses in that building, that people's perception is that they sell paraphernalia for drugs. That's a perception.
Yeah. Well, no, it's true.
That's not all they do. I know that, but that's perception. So if we're worried about perception, then maybe that's not a good argument. Maybe we need to say, what's the best way to manage this? And then you go back into the issue of once we're no longer talking about medical marijuana, even our ordinance with prohibition doesn't trump state law regarding medical marijuana. I mean, a person who has a 215 card can still have their marijuana in the city limits. I mean, we can't tell them that we can't enact something that violates or goes above state law.
Well, yeah, but you can affect how far they have to go.
But we can't. Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. One that people may be surprised that I take the stand that I do. But I think it's one that we need to have after November, because to have it now and then to have to change it or adapt it, it's going to be a process. It's going to be time consuming. And I do see to do that.
I do see the kind of the cliff you step off logically if you were to say, okay, we're not going to ban it now, so then let's define what we're going to do and try to read the future and see what sort of situations these ordinances and regulations would be applicable to, and blah blah blah. And we'll put all this work into it, and we'll write all of this that could all be out the window in November anyway.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We're going to have the discussion.
I think they're just
and I hope individuals like Robert, and I think of Robert, the last letter to the editor, Coastal Voices, that he wrote in the triplicate, I really think was spot on in the fact that you could hear in his writings that there was a desire to have a conversation. And I think that that's so much more valuable than creating this sense of animosity between us. And there may be people who are just adamantly anti-marijuana. It's the devil's playground.
Sure, but
there's people who are anti-alcohol.
No. I was going to say
there's all that stuff.
There's also people who are adamantly pro-marijuana as well, and can be as
we need to bring those people
inflexible
to the table. But ultimately, the city needs to be able to manage whatever it does within our city limits. I mean, we have a limited resource budget for those kind of things. Even enforcement. Do you have a bigger problem if you have another business downtown? Well, yeah, we got 2 police officers on at any given time.
Yeah.
That patrol Crescent City. But is that business going to generate more problems than any other business downtown? And don't tell me it will just because it's marijuana.
Yeah, exactly.
That's being very disingenuous, and I don't appreciate that. If you got some evidence that shows me that that's a problem, show me that up in Brookings they're having all these problems now at these dispensaries.
Yeah,
show me that, and then I'll say, okay, well then that's something we need to be concerned about. But just because it sells a product, especially if it's legal, to say, well, I don't know, that may cause problems. Yeah,
and saying that will cause more problems because then you'll have to.
We're not thinking
everything. Yeah,
and we're not talking. Those are two things that just paralyze the government. Is we don't think and we don't talk, or we talk without thinking.
Paralyzes a lot.
But talking amongst one another of coming up with a plan for the future. I hope it's a good, engaging conversation, and that we seriously look at it. I may be the little C guy that just gets totally trumped by everybody. On this, but I do think it's something we need to talk about.
Okay, well, speaking of talking without thinking,
yeah.
Where is this going?
Huh?
Wow.
Where is this going?
Who would you?
Now I'm thinking, what did I just say?
No.
I'm gonna get as soon as that little bell goes and I walk out this door, I'm gonna get nailed.
No. I want to know who you want to get rid of on the council.
Who do I want to get rid of? Oh my goodness! I won't tell you who I want to get rid of.
All right.
But I'll tell you one thing. I'd love for Rick Hawley to run again. Rick is a good man who's invested his life in this community. He's served various agencies. He worked for the county. He worked for the probation department.
Yeah.
He worked for the school district. He has a unique perspective on this community with the years of public service that he brings to the table. Plus, I think that he took a lot of heat and a lot of pressure over the solid waste management.
Yep.
And Ted did a good job last week, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought he did good. I'm on the solid waste management now.
Oh, are you now?
I
are
am.
you on the? Oh,
I'm the
wow.
vice chair.
How are you doing all this?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like the night of long knives.
I know, it is.
Welcome. The future's going to be welcome to Inscore City.
Yeah, there you go. But I don't know if Rick will run again.
Is he on the fence about that? Do you
I don't
know
know.
what his thoughts are?
I don't know. I don't want to pin him down.
Why would you like to see him again?
Because I just think he brings something to the table that we need.
Mm-hmm.
He's experienced. He's put his time in. You know, he served part of a term, and then he served a full term. And I think that he's been through some of the battles that gives him a perspective, a healthy perspective that he can bring to our discussions. But you know, I felt the same way on a different level with Rich and Nia, because I started with Rich on the Planning Commission,
Mm-hmm.
so there's some history of seeing guys that have invested some time and in this community. So I'm not going to tell you who I'd like to get rid of, but I'd sure like to keep Rick Hawley.
Okay, great. Fair enough. That's good.
He's probably not listening, but Rick, I love you, man.
We've got to get. I feel like we may have alienated Rick over the last few weeks too, because we've talked about. There's just, I worry about Rick, and I go back and forth. I worry about him having, because I watched him with the Solid Waste Management Authority this summer, which was just a harrowing experience.
It was.
And a lot of fun being out in the audience. But being out in the audience, I would not want to be
Not so much there, yeah.
No,
Yeah, not up there.
And I wondered if he was, I don't know how to say this, was thick-skinned enough to deal with all of that, or maybe was becoming thicker-skinned. It just seemed the confrontation made him so uneasy. And perhaps that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And perhaps maybe, you know, in the best of all possible worlds, city government, you shouldn't have to have a thick skin like that.
Yeah.
But I worry about him not having a thick enough skin for folks like Roger Gitlin.
Well, I guess my take on that is that if he didn't, I think he probably does now.
Yeah.
Because he came through that process.
Yeah.
And he came through that process, I think, with his head held high, believing I led in the way that I thought I should lead. I did what I believe I should do. Would I have done everything exactly like Rick did? Well, probably not, but that's not the point. The point is that he led, given based on his interpretation of the information he was given, and with conviction. And yeah, I agree with you though. The thickness of your skin will increase if you're going to be in politics, or you'll get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you'll get out.
You can't sit there and take that kind of heat like that.
No.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be that big a heat. I mean, one of the things that I've learned in this whole process is when I show up at an event, I'm fair game.
Really, you've learned.
Well, yeah.
You do. You have a target on your back.
Somebody should be able to ask me whatever and give me their opinion and throw me, you know, a curve that I wasn't expecting, and why is this happening, or what are you going to do about that? And it's like, I just was here for the hors d'oeuvres. But I'm making a note right now that, and you have to be prepared for that. And I wasn't initially. I'm just like, oh, I didn't know it's going to everywhere I go. I mean, it's like, it messes up with my grocery outlet routine.
You can't do, exactly.
No, I mean, that was my downtime. I'd go to grocery outlet a couple times a week and just walk up and down the aisle looking for something that I might need.
Polished concrete floors and
now I have to check who's in what aisle.
Yeah, I know.
It's like
I found this great way on Saturday in the middle of the day if you want to like avoid everybody at Safeway.
Yeah.
The alcohol aisle.
Nobody's there on Saturday.
Nobody's like wants to be seen there even.
Yeah.
Because their kids are there, like everyone is out
so,
there.
So you can hide out
Just
in the alcohol aisle on Saturday.
But you run the risk of being known as the person who hides out in the alcohol aisle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably won't put that on my church business card. You can find me on Saturdays in aisle 14 next to Lloyd Calvert.
Oh, man.
Probably not. Probably. Yeah, well, there's probably 3 church members right now that are already calling a committee.
Oh, yeah. Have a little 2-on-2.
I thought you just pray. And
I did. I was just praying.
Just complain directly.
Sacramental wine is in that aisle.
Well, Blake, it's 17 minutes past noon.
Yeah, I better get.
We're gonna let you get to the and you have a blanket invitation to come back whenever and sit and talk.
Thank you.
Because there are other other things I would love to ask you about and talk to you about. And I want to ask one last final thing.
Absolutely.
In the Flynn, looking up at the dais. It's me. I'm hitting this. That's what it is.
All right.
Looking up at the dais. When you guys come in from behind,
I know where you're going with this.
What's back there?
I can't tell you.
What do you mean you can't tell us? Where's the open?
There's an emergency exit there that goes to the back hall.
Is it escape pod?
Yeah, so you can sneak out if it gets really bad.
Oh, okay.
We can get out quick without even having to speak to the public.
You're just
as long as you go that way. Don't go the other way. That's a closet.
And then there's a dead end.
You open that door, you're stuck. They'll corner you right there. Have you noticed that in anticipation for problems that we have the new little tape thing,
the green tape across?
Yes, I feel like I'm waiting in line at DMV now. Either that or I'm at Disneyland waiting to get on a ride.
Exactly. But do you feel safer?
I do. That little nylon cord just gives me reassurances. No, back there is our version of the green room. I think it's kind of like a maroon color though.
Yeah.
And there's a conference room table back there, and we sit back there, and we have snacks.
Do you have snacks?
We have snacks. Some of our council members or staff, when they are responsible for snacks, they just swing into Safeway, and I think that they do the alcohol aisle first because their selection is just, that's the real reason why I want Rick Hawley to run again.
Why? Does he bring the best snacks?
His wife puts together, he had brought chili once.
Uh-huh.
It was so good. It's like, do we have to have the regular meeting? Yeah. No, some of us try to really put some thought into what we bring, and others pick up a snack tray.
Well,
that's so insulting, right? I
don't think it's insulting. It's just, I don't want to throw all of them under the bus. but I like to bring something that people go, wow, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever
lunch? The little lunch rounds and crackers, and I very rarely go, "Wow, that's awesome." I'll eat it. Don't get me wrong. I eat it because you never know. We could be there to 9:30.
Exactly.
So I appreciate the Ritz crackers and the little. I feel like I'm eating those Lunchable things.
Yeah, you are.
And
so did you ever get free fish or fresh fish from Gene?
Not once.
No.
Wow.
Not once. Gene Palazzo, he never brought me fish.
Wow.
He also told me he was going to take me fishing out on a kayak. Never did it. Thought the guy was my friend.
Wow. Maybe
I'm
that's just
so disappointed. And now he's taking my finance director.
You got to get mayor at it. You got to get you got to be mayor to get the fresh fish.
Gene's a good guy. and he also knew that I fished, and so he probably offered it to people who didn't have the opportunity to go themselves. So I have fresh fish. I haven't had any for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Because I didn't fish at all last year.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. Didn't go out once.
Wow. What do you do? Ocean or river?
Yeah, ocean.
Ocean?
I quit the river fishing.
Why?
Because it's like combat fishing.
How so?
Everybody's so close.
Uh-huh.
And if you get a fish on, everybody's hoping for one or two things: get it in fast or lose it.
Yeah.
Because you're in
gonna
our
get
way
in the
now.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to have a partner. I mean, I caught a fish 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a pretty good sized fish. And I was by myself, and it's like, somebody's going to help me land this, right? And they're just, I mean, I could just sense the tension on the bank.
Wow.
It's like, I hope he loses it.
Wow.
Because he's taking way too long. Because I'm kind of deliberative about stuff. I'm taking my time, playing the fish, don't want to lose it. You got barbless hooks. You don't want to get all wild.
Yeah.
Be contemplative. And
the guys are just
everybody else is
reeling in.
like,
Forget it.
come on,
Yeah.
dude. And I'm like, well, get your net and help me get the fish in. And as it was, I had to get down in the water by myself, grab the fish.
Man.
And it was stressful.
Yeah, that's no good. That's not why you fish.
No.
Yeah.
It's combat fishing. And there are guys that are masters at doing that. I mean, they can horse those fishes in. Great. It's good.
So you keep it out in the ocean now, then, huh?
Yeah.
So can we call you?
But I don't
for
have a
fishing?
boat anymore.
Oh, well,
Because nobody would go with me anymore.
Oh,
I had a
we'll go
little-
with you.
I had a little 12-foot aluminum boat with a little motor on the back.
Yeah.
I'd go out in the ocean, and people would get sick, and people would say, "You're nuts! There's 12-foot swells, and you're in a 12-foot boat. What are you doing out here?" and so it got to the point where everybody thought I was just too crazy to
that's too
fish
bad.
with, and so now I got to find somebody with a bigger boat to take me.
Okay. All right.
Or
well,
a kayak.
We don't have a boat. Sorry.
yeah, we don't have a boat.
Maybe
We'd
Gene will
still-
come back.
No. Gene's never coming back. He's on the shiny. He's in the Golden Hill on
He's
the
seen
golden
the world,
town on
that's
the
it.
hill.
He's seen the world.
That's
Once
it.
they've
Not
seen
coming
golf.
back.
Once you go galt, you never go back. All right, you guys.
All right, thank you very much.
You bet.
That's on
Blake
the welcome
Inscore.
sign.
Yes, once you go galt, go
never
galt
go
or
back.
go home, right? Crescent City City Council member Blake Inscore, our guest. Today and any day he wants to come down and blow, like an hour and a half with us. It's been great talking with Blake, and best of luck on the mayor putsch.
All right.
He didn't do anything about the rain the whole time he was here, just saying.
Well, I know, but he's got the day off.
Okay.
I won't bring rain next time.
You won't bring rain. All right,
Okay.
good. You brought the cookies
Well, I
and the
will bring
rain.
None of that is your fault.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, hey, thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Blake. Oh man, well that's great. He cleared up a lot of things.
Yeah.
I like talking to him. Good guy. I'll vote for him for mayor.